Hello, everyone. My name is Allie Virtue, and welcome to the Pre-Diet Podcast. This week is a solo episode, and I'm really excited for today's topic. So the main topic, we're going to talk about how do you determine if you are hungry, if it's boredom, what if you have excessive hunger, and how to solve it. So that's going to be a really interesting one, but I'm also going to add in a little bit of life updates, a new segment called Motivational Minute, or something along those lines, still workshopping it. But I find these little nuggets from getting or having the privilege to talk to these amazing clients that I get to work with each week, and new analogies come up, something clicks for someone, and I would like to share those analogies and kind of frameworks, mindset shifts with you guys. So that is going to be at the end of the podcast. Make sure you listen all the way. But let's dig into a little bit of life updates to get started with. So first one is a big thank you to you guys. Over 500 streams so far. Thank you so much. Looking at the data and learning what episode you liked most, I'm thrilled to announce you guys like to watch me cry. In episode 36, it was about nutrition through hard times and just talking about what's going on in life and some things there. But you guys really liked it, so really appreciate it. But I'm guessing that's really relatable because shit happens, right? And we still have to do these things, and that's when they feel especially hard and especially heavy. So thanks for watching me cry. Little update from that episode. If you haven't listened to that, go ahead and listen to it. Apparently it was a hit, but Jasper is doing okay. He has metastatic cancer. Jasper's my dog. He's about 11 years old. And so we tried chemo. He didn't really tolerate it. He tolerated it kind of for like about 2 weeks. And just before the 2-week mark, he really wasn't having a good time. So we stopped that. We're just going to enjoy our time together. Business has slowed down a little bit, and I think I'm okay with it. I think it's a little bit of the universe saying like, hey, this is going on right now. So learning to cope with that and kind of coming to terms with it instead of necessarily taking everything on in the heaviest way possible. So learning through this experience as always. I'm still taking a couple clients, enrolled a couple this week, and I'm really excited to get started with them. Always taking new people in the group program. That is really, it's easier for me to run, but I get to show up for people in a group setting, and they can book calls if they need to. But I do want to read, and I'll put this, hopefully Chris can put it on the screen here too if you're watching on YouTube, a message from Sue, who's absolutely crushing it. And she is in the group or community program. It's called Become a Healthier You. And this is because that's what I want for you. I don't want a 30-day shred. I want you to become a healthier version of you. So she says, "Hi, Allie, hope all is well with you and your family. I wanted to touch base. After a full month of living a healthier me version, all is good. I'm working on portion control, eating protein, plants first. I'm finding that I'm not hungry for 3 to 4 hours after I eliminated oatmeal from my breakfast. Major game changer. And what she's eating instead is what we discussed. We kind of workshopped some meal ideas. So like Greek yogurt, berries or banana, almond butter, flax seeds, big fiber increase there, big protein increase there for her. Many times I don't even finish the bowl and I end up having it for a snack in the afternoon. What a blessing." Absolutely. Oatmeal was not working for me at this time for sure. Adding a salad most days, sometimes for lunch, sometimes with protein, and for dinner. Bonus points, I ate my very own grown romaine lettuce this last week. Proud plant parent. Worked up to daily 30-minute intentional exercise again after being off for about 6 months. Awesome. Adding a walk in this June, 5 minutes added increments a week. I love that. Very slow and sustainable. No reason not to do it. Love it. She's down almost 5 pounds in the last 30 days. She's very happy with her results. I don't feel that I have starved or sacrificed. A couple times a week, I still have fantasies about eating chips and candy. These will always be in the corner lurking, I guess. Instead, I drank water, ate some protein, had some fiber, focused on other things, and it passed. And then she talks about, she tried to leave a Google review having some tech issues, but gave me permission to share this. Thank you, Sue. She is absolutely crushing it. She just took to this so well with the best possible attitude and wanting to make really permanent changes. So that was absolutely beautiful to hear that from her. Just a month in. So good. So good. And that program is $30 a month. I really want, the goal of that program for me personally was to eliminate the financial barrier. So $1 a day or less. And you also win prizes. So if you do the habits, you tell me that you did the habits, we have a little tracker for it. I'm going to help with your grocery bill that next month. So if you get the most habits, the most points, I'm going to give you a gift card towards your groceries from your grocery store of choice. And I'm actually hoping to get that sponsored so I can increase the amount of grocery money for you guys. So make sure you check that program out on my website, parksidenutrition.com/. healthier you. Not that I feel like I should have to be like full glam or anything to show up just like anybody else. I feel like today I had to really convince myself to get this done. I feel like I have a long list of excuses of, I should have scheduled a guest. I don't want to do, or maybe that people don't want to hear a solo episode from me. I have allergies. I didn't have time to put my makeup on. I should have probably taken a shower. Plenty of not perfect things. This is not the perfect picture that I have in mind when I think of putting out a podcast to the world and to my audience. It's not necessarily 100% the brand that I would like, but also this is real. And I recognize that me and how I want to present myself on brand or whatever, the idea I have in my head, it's a preference and it's not a rule. And I need to come to terms with that. It's a preference, not a rule. I shouldn't put those barriers up because then I won't get as much stuff done. And getting stuff done is better than not doing it at all because it has to be perfect. That's just not a good way to do life, I don't think. So here we are. We're showing up and we're going to dig into our topic. And that is how to know if you are hungry or bored. What's the difference? This one's really tough. I think it helps a little bit if we talk a little bit about how hunger is regulated, because I think nobody really talks about that. In the most basic terms, leptin is the hormone, satiety hormone, that is secreted by your fat cells. So in theory, the more fat mass you have, the higher leptin levels or the higher satiety levels. There are some other ways that this can get dysregulated, so not necessarily like what we see in the real world. And then ghrelin, the other hormone, is your hunger hormone. So these two kind of balance. This is also where when we lose fat mass, our satiety hormone decreases. And this is where your increase in appetite comes from. After you lose weight, you lose fat mass, your leptin levels go down, your satiety goes down. But there's lots of ways that we can combat this. So that's a little bit about how your hunger gets balanced. But it's also really important to know these two hormones get really dysregulated with stress and with lack of sleep. And lack of sleep is a very effective form of stress, right? So this is really, really crucial. If you think you're doing all the things food-wise and you're not sleeping enough and you're really stressed out, these can still get dysregulated and make it really tough for you to be successful. So I really like to ask questions first, I guess, when I'm working with a client, when a client has questions. I also, if you're listening to this, I don't know your situation. I don't have all of your information. So if we can talk about the questions that you can ask yourself and you can take those answers and kind of coach yourself, I find that's pretty helpful. So my first question is, what's the root cause? Does it feel like it's hunger? Does it feel like it's boredom? What's the root of this? Is there a feeling underneath? Is it a superficial feeling? Is it a deep feeling? What do you think it is? And again, that can be tough. It can take a little bit of thinking. One of the questions I'll ask myself is, will a chicken breast solve this? It sounds really silly, but I think chicken breast is typically one of the most boring foods to eat. It's just pure protein, not a lot of fat, not always very delicious, depending on how you cook it. So will a chicken breast, or maybe say carrot sticks, something that I find fairly bland or boring, will that food solve this? If I'm really hungry, that will help. It might not be my favorite, but if my biggest need in that particular moment is hunger, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it because that's going to solve my problem. If I'm feeling a little bit hungry, but mostly sad, mostly frustrated, insert whatever emotion, anxiety, depressed, lonely, whichever it is, chicken breast really isn't going to solve it. So if I can kind of think in the future, like, okay, if I eat this, like, how is that? What's the end result after that? I would have just gnawed on a chicken breast and I'm still sad, lonely, and depressed. Like, okay, well then it's probably not food. It's probably another feeling and then I can start to make moves of like, okay, if it's not hunger, what else can I do to help resolve this feeling? That's really helpful to try to get to the root of it. I also like to do a little diet audit for the day. What have I eaten today? It might be legitimate hunger or legitimate need for nutrition by my body. So if I think back, so I feel like these instances happen a lot between meals. So like say 10 a.m., you've had breakfast, not quite lunchtime, or it's 3 p.m., you've had lunch, not quite dinner time, and you get real snacky, right? I do a little, okay, what did I have the previous meal? Did I sleep well? If this is breakfast time, so maybe I didn't sleep well, and my hunger is just higher because of that, and my breakfast just didn't quite, fill my need like it normally does. So that could be a thing. Did I get enough protein? Did I get at least 30 grams of protein at my previous meal? If no, maybe I need to increase that. That's kind of my minimum too. And if you're finding this is happening a lot, maybe we need to increase our protein to 40 grams per meal, 50 grams per meal, 60 grams per meal if we're a guy. Honestly, ladies could probably maybe eat that much as well. But Yes, it depends on your overall need for the day, but also at least 30 grams per meal of protein is a good place to start. So that's where I would start first. The next thing I would think of is how much fiber did I get? Most Americans are not getting enough fiber. Modern civilization, really, not just Americans, are not getting enough fiber. Most people are probably getting around 10 to 14 grams of fiber, when in reality we would do much better from 30, 35, 40, 45 grams of fiber per day. We don't want to increase this too fast. That can cause some gut upset, could cause some constipation, but think back to your last couple meals. Did I get a fiber source? And this isn't just vegetables, just fruits, just plants. Yes, all of those things can give us fiber, but you can eat a ton of veggies and it might not have as much fiber as you think. This is where tracking your food can be really helpful, because we want fiber-rich foods. That's actually going to help slow down our digestion in a good way. It's going to help us balance our blood sugar, which is a big thing for cravings as well. So the actual fiber content of the food is really going to help us out, and that's a number we really need to know. And you should probably be tracking your food to help figure that out. But we already talked about sleep a little bit. Sleep is just really hard on hormones in general, but especially on our appetite. Stressed out, if it's stress feels like the root cause, what is it about? What can I do? What are some better coping strategies? This is really where a therapist or a counselor can come into play to help you find those healthy coping mechanisms. For some of us, it's going to be exercise, but also we can take that to an extreme as well, just like any other generally healthy habit. I also like to think, if I've identified stress as the biggest issue, I try to think about if I'm thinking about this next action. So quite often, honestly, the gym can stress me out. Trying to fit it in the morning can feel stressful. So sometimes I will think about, okay, me in an hour and a half's time, will I feel less stressed having gone to the gym, or less stressed having gotten ahead of my day and gotten my to-dos done? Sometimes the answer is actually saying no to the gym. That's a legitimate thing. Usually that next day, the gym goes up a priority notch. I need to get my stuff together so I can make it to the gym. So every other day, I'm making sure that gym or movement or exercise actually happens. So that's how I find. Some people hate the word balance, harmony amongst those things. I'm not going to always skip the gym. I'm not going to do it 2 days in a row, or insert whatever exercise or movement plan you want there. And lastly, just to circle back, my favorite question is really like, will food solve this? If I am deathly hungry, food will solve it. Even if it's not the most ideal food, but if I'm truly feeling stressed and lonely and some other type of feeling, food will not solve it. And that takes a while sometimes to like really sit with that and lean into that discomfort of like, I'm feeling very uncomfortable, very stressed, very sad, whichever, and food will not solve this. I'm actually really proud of myself in that sense. If you guys know, I struggled with binge eating in grad school because stress was really high. My dad had just passed away, like lots of life changes. And I definitely lent on food. I ate so much food and it was really healthy. And I didn't necessarily have a big weight problem. I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now, but it wasn't like as glaring or obvious thing. I hit it quite well, to brag. And now I'm really proud of myself. Like, that has not really been a temptation, because that's one of the first things I think of is food will not solve this. Me eating copious amounts of food will not solve my dog's cancer. It won't make other life things easier. It's just not going to help. As uncomfortable that is, it is helpful. Because again, if I kind of look into the future of like, okay, in an hour, if I'm going to lean into this German chocolate cake to help me feel better, it won't really make me feel better. Especially if I eat too much, I'll feel worse. And then I'll have that guilt and that shame. And I know that how that story plays out from, previous bad decisions. And I don't need to look at it with any guilt or shame. I've learned a lot from that. And if you're still struggling with this in your life, like, please reach out for help. I didn't. I found tools to work with, but I wish I had reached out for help sooner. And I probably would have gotten a lot better results quicker with the help of others. Kind of just bootstrapped it myself. So definitely reach out for help if you're struggling with this. All right, let's talk about solutions. So what can you do about excessive hunger? So we've talked about how you figure out if it's boredom or if it's actual hunger, but what if you just have a high appetite and you are trying to maybe lose a little bit of weight, work on your health habits, eat better in general, whatever that means for you? What if your hunger is just high? What do you do? First thing on my list is tracking your food. Say it with me. Tracking my food is a good thing. It's not restrictive. It's information. If you have information, you can make a change. You have that data to work with. We don't need to have feelings. It's just tracking our food, seeing what your bank account says, basically, right? The next thing is, do I need to eat more protein? Probably. So at least 0.8 grams per pound of body weight is a good place to start. increase. Absolutely can increase, probably up to 1.5 grams per pound of relatively healthy body weight. So if you have more than 40 pounds to lose, let's go off of a lower body weight number. It's hard to eat too much protein. It's not a challenge. It's hard to eat too much protein. So increasing your protein, start with that per meal chunk. Like we said, at least 30 grams of protein per meal. That's a great place to start. Increase from there. If you want to find your overall total for the day, that's great too. And then fiber is next. Fiber. So I would love everybody to be about at least 35 grams of fiber per day, if not a little bit more if you're a larger human. The typical RDA recommendation is 14 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories that you consume. So 28 grams if you're consuming 2,000 calories a day. I think that's pretty bare minimum. I don't love that, so I would like to increase that. If we break that down per meal, that is at least 8 grams, ideally 10 grams up to 15 grams of fiber per meal. That's a lot. So if we're to like play with our food apps and the kind of, it's called macro Tetris, but like put our protein in first. What is the protein I'm going to have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe a snack if I need to. Punch all that into your food tracking app. I love the Cronometer app. Highly recommend. Cronometer.com if you want to look that up. Free version works great. So plug in your breakfast, lunch, dinner protein sources and the amounts you need to get at least 30 grams of protein per meal. Do that. Plug in some plants that have some fiber. Look up high fiber foods. Plug in the amount that you need to get to about what we just said, 10 to 15 grams of fiber per meal. Work up slowly if these are foods that you never consume, so your gut has time to adjust a little bit. Once we got our fiber sources in there, we can add some starchy carbohydrates if we would like to. You can also add in, whether you go carbs or fats next, that's the third thing you add in, up to you. But we want to add some starchy carbohydrates in, maybe some rice, beans. Beans have a lot of fiber too, so we love those. And then some fats, so to flavor our meals. That would be a really good move. And then see how it plays out for the overall day. But protein and fiber first. After that, eat those first too. So eat your fiber sources first, eat your protein sources first. And then if you still have food and you are still hungry, then we have the rice, then we have some of the other stuff, because that protein and fiber is going to fill us up for the least amount of calories compared to rice, compared to peanut butter or the big fat source on our plate for that meal. Another reason I want to mention fiber is because this plays a big role in our gut health and our long-term maintenance of our appetite, blood sugar regulation, other things. But I also want to talk about it that a lot of people don't know. Like, these GLP-1 medications are everywhere in the news, see the advertisements all the time, but it's a naturally produced hormone by your body. And we can do this through diet. Fiber is one of the best ways to increase your endogenous production of GLP-1. This is quite often for clients that's just not a tool they want to utilize. We can increase their fiber intake and they feel so much more full. And even if it's a supplemental fiber powder, I look for one that's just psyllium husk. Just psyllium husk fiber. It's ground up, add it to hot water in a cup, chug it down. It's not terribly tasty, but it does a really good job to modify your appetite and bring it down a little bit. So highly recommend that. The next on my list is high volume foods. So people can definitely take this to pretty crazy levels, but when we say high volume foods, it's foods that you can literally just take up a lot of volume on your plate. A big ass salad is one of my favorite ways to do this. Yogurt bowls, yogurts, berries, some nuts and seeds, but half a banana, something like that. Like the volume of that, like 300 grams of yogurt is kind of a lot, plus a cup or two of berries, kind of a lot. So this is really good if you have a high appetite. It also takes you longer to eat. You have to chew it. All of those things help you feel more full. So highly recommend those. Roasted veggies, cottage cheese bowls, savory cottage cheese bowls. I'm loving that lately. So if you're following on Instagram, you'll see a lot of those, but that's a favorite. But these high volume things, another one I talked to a client about today was watermelon. I think to get 40 grams of carbs, which for perspective is about a banana and a half. It's not a lot. Maybe a banana and an apple. It's not a lot, but to get that same amount of carbs from watermelon, you'd have to eat like 6 cups. So that would be a pretty high volume snack. You'd have to eat a lot of it. It's going to hydrate you. Some people will call it just sugar water, but you got to eat a lot of sugar water. So I think that is a really good high volume snack. Now, a little caveat with high volume meals, I used to rely on them a lot because I was struggling with binge eating. I think it's a marker that I'm doing better with my relationship with food, that I don't necessarily always need the biggest bang for my buck, or I don't always need to choose meals that are the biggest. Now I can value food for what it's giving me, the nutrition it's giving me. Even if it's a small piece of chocolate, I feel like I can get the same amount of enjoyment of that small piece of chocolate as I can from maybe like a healthier healthier air quotes, like brownie recipe from the internet. That was a super healthy take on this, brownie recipe, but I would want to eat as much as possible. Now I can find enjoyment in smaller amounts of food. So just keep that in mind if we're always leaning on these high volume meals forever. Maybe also want to keep in mind of like, are there other ways that I can improve my relationship with food? So I don't always need the biggest meals possible. Next on my list, probably not a surprise, more sleep. Change your sleep quality. Really try hard to get more sleep, and that's going to really help your appetite. Next is better stress management. Again, talking with a counselor can be really good. And the next thing on my list is therapy as well. I find that so often is really helpful for clients if they're doing the things, if they quote know what to do, and they're even doing the things, or if they're having trouble executing the things, sometimes a therapist can be really, really helpful to help them deal with those other emotional aspects to make the things happen. Next on my list is getting blood work. So I'm actually going to put this list in the captions because there's like 11 plus things on this list of how you can combat excessive hunger. But blood work is one. So checking for nutrient status, vitamins, minerals, vitamin D, other things to just make sure that your body is legitimately like nourished as much as possible, because sometimes food cravings can crop up as mineral deficiencies and things like that. So just making sure that your health is good. It's never a bad idea to get a baseline or snapshot in time of I'm feeling like this and my blood work looks like this. And quite often that can help us make the necessary nutrition changes because you saw what your blood work was and maybe it's leaning in a direction you don't like. And that can be some extra motivation and incentive to make sure that we're eating relatively well. Number 9 is add more movement in. I find this very, very, very helpful when I'm feeling particularly stressed and I'm like, oh, maybe I need a snacky snack. When in reality I'm feeling stressed, and quite often just literally a 5-minute walk outside really helps me kind of like literally take a deep breath, reset, and I'm amazed how much more effective that is than even like the best possible snack, the healthiest snack, the most indulgent snack, whatever. That actually helps me reset and feel better. And now that I've done this enough times, it's hard to get myself out for a walk sometimes because I'm like, oh, I'll tell myself I don't have time, or, it's raining outside, or it's too hot outside, or whatever. But I have enough evidence now that I know that actually really, really helps. Even if it's just literally for a couple minutes, it does help me feel better and move on and decrease my hunger, decrease my stress, cravings, all of that. Lastly, number 10, this is kind of a two-in-one one. This is kind of a 2-in-1 tip. Change your routine. This is huge. Read the book Atomic Habits. That's super helpful, but remove the triggers that cause you to do that bad behavior. So if you find yourself snacking at a certain time, let's try to change it up. So if at 3 o'clock you're always reaching for a snack, maybe at 2:30 we go for a walk. That really might help lower our stress, and so we're not as snacky afterwards. This is what I would do and what helped me a lot with binge eating and that kind of nighttime eating, because I knew once I watched TV and I started to eat my dinner or eat a snack, like I had to keep eating as I was watching TV. Those things were very paired together. Versus if I went for a walk in the evening and I never turned on the TV, I didn't nearly have as much trouble with binge eating or excessive eating or anything like that. So take a little audit. Sometimes this is really helpful to talk about, if you can, with your spouse, your partner, roommate, or a therapist, or just a really good friend of like, okay, I'm having this trouble with this habit. It's not necessarily a lack of discipline, but how can we change our routine, give you something positive to focus on of like, hey, I'm going to do this at this time, versus like just sitting there thinking like, don't do that bad habit. Don't do that bad habit. That is a really tough strategy, and I would not recommend it. Let's try to change your routine. Maybe you call a friend, maybe you walk your dog at that time, wherever that tough moment is. Let's try to change the scenery, change the triggers, the inputs, so you can get a different result. All right, to close out, I want to talk about my motivational minute segment. I think I'm really going to like this. If anything, it's going to be hard to limit it. I'm going to try. I'm going to watch the clock and I'm going to keep it to a minute. So here we go. All right, motivation, I have found over and over again, it does not come from a stationary place. I feel more motivated once I am doing something, once I have done something that is powerful. Even this last weekend, this comes to mind. So we've been talking about forever organizing our barn on our property. We kind of moved in a rush and we just like dumped stuff and left and didn't look at it again. And it's been the bane of our existence because we can't find any tools. We don't know where anything is. We were buying stuff that we know we have, but we can't find it, etc. So clearing out the barn, organizing it. I was so tired like halfway through doing this, and I think we did it a couple days in a row, but it felt so good when we were starting to make progress that I didn't want to stop. I got like 17,000 steps, I think, on the Saturday and Sunday. And I was just motivated. I was way more motivated even being so tired those days than I ever felt when I was sitting on the couch thinking about that annoying thing that I had to go do. So just remember that, like, motivation requires movement. If you are moving towards it, it's easier to see more motivation and use that. So if you're stuck in a stationary place, remember that, keep that in mind. Another analogy I like to use with this kind of concept is that, think about, because it's easy. I know the first thing that people are going to say is like, yeah, it's easy to have motivation when you are seeing progress. But Allie, what if I'm not seeing progress and I still need to be motivated and I'm not feeling motivated to go to the gym, to eat well, to meal prep my food, etc.? Like, it's not working. There's no point. Well, I would also say if you have a giant hole in your roof, your house is not working. Do you call the bank and tell them about the giant hole in your roof and that you're not going to pay the mortgage or you're not going to pay rent that month? Probably not. Your house is broken. It's not working the way that you like, but guess what? You still have to pay the rent. You still have to pay the mortgage. Like, that's just how it goes. You still have to eat well. You still have to give your body nutrition. Even if you don't think it's working, like, that stuff is still required. Kind of a Debbie Downer, but hopefully this is good in the sense of, like, it gives you less options. And the less options you can present yourself with, the easier this is going to be. I kind of think of these things as just chores. They're chores for my body, just like I have chores for my house. I have chores to take care of my animals, those types of things. Like, it's the same. And those chores are pretty much required. I might not do them to the 100%, 10 out of 10, best of my ability every single time, but most of the time they get done. And that's the most important thing. Sure, my house gets really messy sometimes, but there's a level, especially if I have people coming over. Like, I don't identify as a hoarder. I identify as a generally hygienic person. So it's only going to get so bad, and then I'm going to do something about it. And again, it might not be perfect, scrub everything, but it's going to get cleaned to some degree, and then I'm going to move on. Same thing with my horses. My husband asked me, like, what would happen if you didn't muck out the stalls today? Because I got it done really late one day this week. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take care of them, like, every day. If we limit our options, keep our eyes focused on what we absolutely need to do, I think that makes it easier to stay motivated and get the things done. That was over a minute. I'm going to try harder next time. 3 minutes. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I had a blast talking with you. Hopefully you found this episode helpful. Make sure before you go, a couple free asks, totally free. If you can like and subscribe on YouTube, please do. It takes no time at all. Also, while you're on YouTube, if you are listening there, make sure you check out the How to Order Like a Pro series. This is where me and sometimes a friend, Devin Grogan, he's a professional bodybuilder, we will go to healthier fast food options and teach you how to order like a pro in a better way based on gut health goals or if you have fat loss goals. It's been a really fun series and we're really looking forward to growing that. So make sure you check that out. Also, follow the podcast on whatever platform you prefer. Please leave a 5-star review or rating if you can. Follow on Instagram. Make sure you share this episode with your fitness buddy so you can both be motivated and stay on track and just support each other. And lastly, make sure you subscribe to the Free Shit Friday email list at parksidenutrition.com/subscribe. That way you won't miss a thing. You'll get all the free downloads, the free resources I send out every single week. But that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.